Hello to all viewers of our channel. This video is about the greatest war of humanity against alien insects. Support our channel with a like and a subscription for our efforts. Enjoy watching. The weary old cur, a veteran whose mandibles clicked in agitation, nursed his beverage. "You ask the secret of why we were defeated," he said to the young reporter, her antennae twitching with curiosity. She'd heard whispers of the infamous human conflict, but first-hand accounts were rare. Most survivors preferred to forget. "Surely, the Empire's military superiority," she began. "Military superiority?" The veteran laughed, a harsh, chittering sound. "Let me educate you about humans and warfare. Our swarm believed we could reshape the galaxy, make ourselves the supreme rulers, with humans reduced to mere commodities, mindless cattle to serve our will. We thought their primitive minds incapable of resisting our grand vision." He took a long sip, his compound eyes reflecting the dim light of the space station bar. "You think you comprehend violence? You think you understand combat? You don't. Humans turned war into art long before they left their gravity well. While we perfected plasma weapons and energy shields, they were devising ever more ingenious ways to kill each other with sharpened metal and refined explosives. All while we dreamed of a universe where their kind would be our slaves. But that's so primitive," the journalist protested. "Primitive?" He slammed his drink down. "Let me tell you about primitives. Our swarm saw humans as foolish, their chaotic societies ripe for subjugation. We planned to invert their world, to make them the livestock of our empire, their minds too feeble to comprehend our superiority. During our first encounter with human forces, we deployed cutting-edge battle formations, flawless geometric patterns refined by our finest military AIs. They looked at our perfect formations, laughed, and threw rocks at us. Rocks. Not just any rocks, tungsten rods dropped from orbit. They called them rods from God. Pure kinetic energy. No radiation, no fancy energy signatures, just death from above." The journalist's antennae drooped. "But surely our superior numbers." Another harsh laugh. "Oh, the finest part. We thought precisely that. We outnumbered them 10-1, confident their primitive intellects could never challenge our dominion. We envisioned markets where humans would be traded as goods, their civilizations erased to serve our hive. But humans are masters at fighting outnumbered. They've built an entire mythology around it. Thermo, Pyle, their tales of impossible stands." He continued. "While we built combat doctrines on logic and efficiency, they turned war into a sport. They created video games, simulating combat in ever more intricate ways. By the time we met them, their civilians had thought more about tactical scenarios than our strategists, all while we mocked their stupidity and planned to harvest their bodies for labor." "But that's just simulation," the journalist challenged. "Every human child grows up playing war games, capture the flag, paintball, laser tag. They've turned combat into entertainment," the veteran said. "Our swarm believed this obsession proved their inferiority, that their minds were too weak to grasp true strategy. We planned to cage them, to make their planets our breeding grounds. But the scariest part is their creativity. We thought we understood warfare, reduced to a science. Perfect formations, optimal weapon configurations, calculated risks. Humans? They see a battlefield and imagine possibilities, defying our vision of a galaxy where they'd be nothing but tools." "What do you mean?" "During the Battle of Imus and Tori, we had their fleet cornered. Superior numbers, positioning, firepower. By every calculation, they were finished. We gloated, imagining their ships as trophies, their crews as merchandise for our markets. But they detonated their own antimatter reactor containment fields, creating a massive electromagnetic pulse. It fried their systems and ours. While both fleets were dead in space, they launched boarding parties using primitive chemical rockets." He shuddered. Imagine inside a state-of-the-art warship filled with the galaxy's most advanced technology, seeing humans in mechanical pressure suits cut through your hull with thermal lances. Not plasma cutters, just hot metal. They were singing an ancient war song, Blood Upon the Risers, about parachutes failing. They sing about dying horribly to raise morale. What kind of species does that? The journalist's mandibles quivered. But surely their technological limitations, that's where we erred. We thought their primitive technology was a weakness, proof of their feeble minds. We dreamed of a galaxy where our intellect would reign and humans would be bartered like livestock. But humans don't see technology as we do. It's just a tool. They'll use plasma rifles alongside ballistic weapons, quantum computers with mechanical analogs. Whatever works, he gestured widely. The nail in the coffin? Their language? They say there's more than one way to skin a cat. I had to ask what that meant. It's about problem solving, but think about it. They have sayings about flaying animals in multiple ways. That's the species we faced. But we had better ships, better weapons. Better ships. Our elegant vessels, with flawless symmetry and optimal energy distribution, were designed to showcase our supremacy. We imagined humans marveling at our fleets, submitting to their new role as our property. But humans strapped engines to massive lumps of metal, brutal, over-engineered monsters, built to endure punishment and keep fighting. They didn't bother with proper energy shielding on smaller vessels, just piling on armor, calling it good enough. He took another drink. And their weaponry, he continued. We had advanced energy weapons, but humans brought everything. Energy weapons, projectiles, kinetic kill vehicles, chemical and biological agents. If it could harm, they weaponized it. They even weaponized information, mimetic warfare, psychological operations. They didn't just aim to defeat us militarily. They wanted to break our will, mocking our dream of a universe where they'd be our chattel. They studied our culture, psychology, social structures, then spread rumors, tales, urban legends, sowing doubt and fear. By the war's end, our soldiers surrendered, believing humans could smell fear and would grant quicker deaths to those who didn't resist. The journalist's antennae twitched erratically. That's ridiculous. Of course it was. But that's humans and warfare. They don't care about the ridiculous, only effectiveness. If it works, they use it, no matter how strange or primitive. He finished his glass. Our swarm was certain we'd reshape their world, make their species a commodity, their minds irrelevant. But the real reason we lost, humans enjoy warfare, not the killing, not the death, though some do, and those are terrifying. But the challenge, the strategy, the tactics. They treat war like a puzzle, and they're remarkably adept at solving it. He signaled the bartender for another round. After we surrendered, they invited our military leaders to a paintball tournament for post-war relations. There we were, the highest-ranking survivors, shot with colored balls by laughing humans who treated it like a party game, while we still clung to visions of their subjugation. That's disturbing, the journalist said. Disturbing barely scratches it. Their civilians built model replicas of our ships for entertainment, created simulated battles in video games, wrote speculative fiction about the war's outcomes. Their society is engineered to analyze and delight in conflict, defying our belief that they were too foolish to resist our rule. He leaned back, his compound eyes reflecting starlight through the station's viewport. We fought to impose a new order, to make humans our goods, their civilizations a footnote. But we were fighting soldiers while they were warriors. We fought with science, they with art. We fought because we had to. They fought because they'd spent their existence waiting to prove themselves against an alien enemy. The journalist was silent, then asked, "Do you believe they'll ever change? Become more civilized?" The veteran chittered darkly. Civilized. They are civilized. That's what makes them dangerous. They maintain a warrior spirit while building a sophisticated civilization. Their ballet dancers practice martial arts. Their scientists play war games. Their politicians hunt for sport. Their culture thrives on being both civilized and dangerous. He pointed to humans arm wrestling at the bar's far end, betting playfully. Look at them. They're having fun, competing. But push them too far, threaten their world, their people, and they stop being civilized. Fast. Then you see why every species that's fought them ends up dead or surrendering. Because humans don't just practice warfare, he continued. They transcend it. They turn violence into art, conflict into dance, battle into a symphony. They are the goddesses of war. We were fumbling with basic arithmetic while they composed grand operas of destruction, shattering our dream of a galaxy where they'd be our mindless servants. He rose, mandibles clicking softly. So, when someone calls humans primitive for using projectile weapons, or backwards for maintaining armies, or uncivilized for enjoying combat sports, remember, every obsolete technology they use has a purpose we never conceived. Their archaic doctrines come from centuries of relentless conflict. Their fascination with contest drives their innovation. We thought we'd make them our commodity, their minds too weak to resist. We were wrong. Pausing as he departed, he added, "If you ever face a human in combat, surrender immediately. Otherwise, they'll take your weapon, analyze it, improve it, and use it against you, probably while humming a tune." With a final chitter, he left, leaving the journalist to ponder a species that had elevated warfare to a fine art and why they were. The most feared warriors in the galaxy. The humans at the bar were singing about a grand old Duke of York and his 10,000 men. The journalist decided she didn't need to hear the rest. Some questions were best left unasked. As she prepared to leave, a human in a gaudy military uniform, adorned with colorful ribbons and medals, approached. "Couldn't help overhearing," he said conversationally, ordering a whiskey. "Your friend got some of it right, but he missed the crucial insights." Her curiosity piqued, though she noted with unease that humans showed their teeth when amused, a gesture signaling violence in most refined species. "Oh, yes. Your veteran friend only saw us in wartime, like watching a performance's finale without the rehearsals." He sat on a bar stool, and she instinctively edged away. "Did you serve in the war?" she asked. "Nah, I was a kid then. But I studied it. All of us do. It's mandatory now. How not to start an interstellar war 101. He chuckled, thinking it should be called How to End One Fast If Someone Else Starts It. Gesturing to the stars visible through the viewport, he said, "Most species see resources, land, strategic positions. Humans see every sci-fi novel we've read, every space skirmish we've imagined, every gallant last stand and clever plan we've dreamed up." His expression turned serious. "But the main factor that sets us apart, what's that? We don't want to fight, we prepare meticulously, but our best leaders seek ways to avoid conflict. We honor commanders who win without fighting, diplomats who prevent wars, leaders who ensure stability." He finished his drink. "That's what makes us the goddesses of war. We understand it enough to know when not to engage. Your veteran was right about turning warfare into art, but he missed the key. Like true artists, we know our best work comes from choosing not to act first." He stood, adjusting his uniform. "That's why we're here, drinking together, not fighting across space. Despite excelling at warfare, we're better at avoiding it." He smiled, and this time she didn't flinch at his teeth. "Remember, the only thing humans love more than a hard-fought battle is a good reason not to fight." As he rejoined his group, now singing about 99 bottles of beer on the wall, the journalist reviewed her notes. Looking at the stars, she realized why humans were called goddesses of war, not just for their skill in battle, but for knowing when to abstain. Her story had shifted, and she suspected it wasn't the one she'd intended to write. The humans began singing about a buffalo soldier. Some songs, like some species, were best appreciated from a safe distance, preferably behind reinforced barriers. Suddenly, the bar's ambiance shifted. The singing stopped. The humans stared at a news broadcast. Pirates struck a civilian vessel near the Corina Nebula, a refugee ship carrying children from the war-torn Riel region. The human's casual demeanor vanished, replaced by hardened expressions. The journalist felt a primal shudder. This was what the veteran had warned about. A human woman in civilian clothes, carrying a soldier's posture, sat uninvited at her table. "Want to know why we're truly the goddesses of war?" she asked, her voice low but intense. "Watch what happens next." "What do you mean?" "Those pirates made their biggest mistake. They violated a core human principle." The journalist watched as the humans coordinated with eerie efficiency, making calls and sending messages. "Most civilizations think we're dangerous because we're good at fighting," the woman continued. "But we're dangerous because we know the boundaries that must not be crossed. When someone does—" She smiled, and the journalist understood why human smiles were feared. "The veteran saw us in a standard war. The officer knows our history, our potential. Neither told you what happens when humanity is truly angered." News reports showed naval ships, human and allied, rerouting to the Carina Nebula. "Alliances?" the journalist asked, antennae twitching. "Another thing we excel at," the woman said. "When we fight, we bring allies, friends, comrades. We learned long ago that the strongest warrior isn't the one with the biggest weapons, but the one with others fighting beside them. Every state in the Terran Accords is mobilizing, not out of duty, but because they know we'll stand with them when they need us." "But they're just pirates." "Just pirates," the woman said darkly. "They attacked children, refugees, the innocent. In human terms, that changes everything. In a regular war, we follow rules, Geneva Conventions, laws of engagement. But when the defenseless are targeted—" She gestured to the screen, now showing more ships. "That's when you see why we're called goddesses of war." The officer from earlier approached. "Task forces assembled. Similar units are forming in 3 other sectors." "Someone's been watching these pirates," the woman noted. "We never forgot," the officer replied. 3 years ago, they hit another vessel. We couldn't pin it on them, but we suspected. So we watched, gathered data, built alliances." The journalist pressed. "And now?" The woman's smile was chillingly calm. "Now they've given us a reason, a justification. That's when humans are most dangerous, when we act with full moral authority." Battle reports emerged on the monitors. The journalist watched in awe as ships from a dozen species coordinated perfectly, cutting off escape routes with impossible precision. "How do they work together so well?" she asked. "We trained them," the officer said proudly. "After the last war, we shared knowledge, techniques. Not everything, of course, but enough. We knew the greatest advantage isn't just winning wars, but having allies who can win them too." The woman added, "Trust is a weapon, more lethal than any battleship." The operation unfolded swiftly. Within hours, the pirates were trapped, the refugee ship secured. "They're offering surrender?" the journalist asked. "Of course," the woman said. "The golden rule of human warfare, always offer a way out. The goal isn't to destroy the enemy. It's to ensure they never want to fight again," the officer interjected. "Sometimes the best way is to show mercy when you have every reason not to." Most pirate ships surrendered. Those that resisted or fled were neutralized. "That's why we're the goddesses of war," the woman said, standing. "Not because of power, technology, or tactics, but because we know which fights matter and how to win them to prevent future ones." The journalist realized her civilian attire belied her rank. "Admiral," she said. "A final lesson about humans in warfare," the admiral said. "We're not just good at fighting wars. We're good at ending them, with brutality, mercy, or both, but always with intent. The officer nodded. Those pirates thought they could escape because they didn't understand our principles. They thought our songs and games meant we weren't serious about war. They forgot, the admiral said, that goddesses can be merciful and merciless. We've had plenty of practice at both. The screen showed the pirate ships escorted to a starbase, the refugee ship tended by a multi-species medical team. Humanity had proven again why they were goddesses of war, not through numbers, tactics, or technology, but through unity, fury, restraint, and the ability to turn enemies into allies. The humans resumed singing, now Amazing Grace. The journalist understood. Even goddesses needed to remind themselves of mercy. A crowd gathered around an elderly human in a ceremonial uniform, its aged metal and weathered insignia marking past conflicts. Alien students, identifiable by their markings, listened intently. "Is it true?" one asked about the great memorial. The old human's eyes crinkled. "Wondering how we remember our wars?" The journalist edged closer, datapad ready. This aspect of human warfare, how they preserved their military history, was new. "There's a wall," the veteran began. "Black stone, polished to a mirror finish, with tens of thousands of names. People touch them, make rubbings, leave flowers, medals, letters." "Why?" a young centone asked. "Every name has a story," he replied. "We remember not just victories, but losses, sacrifices, mistakes. That's what sets us apart." The admiral joined them, sitting quietly. The veteran nodded to her and continued. "Most species build monuments to triumphs, statues of generals, memorials to battles. We do too, but we also honor our failures, our losses, the cost of war." "Why recall defeat?" another student asked. "To learn," the admiral said. "To ensure it doesn't happen again. Every name on that wall is a lesson written in blood." The veteran nodded. "We say, those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it. For humans, remembering is about stories, emotions, connections." He pulled a small metallic item on a chain from his pocket. "My grandfather's from World War II. He didn't talk about victories, but about friends lost, horrors seen, the price of war." "That seems counterproductive," a student noted. "Wouldn't that discourage warriors?" The admiral chuckled. "You'd think so, but it makes us fight harder. When we go to war, we carry memories, stories, lessons learned in blood and fire. Every human warrior," the veteran added, "carries the weight of those before, not just triumphs, but sacrifices, losses, pain. It makes us better because we understand war's cost." The journalist's senses sharpened. "Is that why humans approach warfare differently?" "Partly," the admiral said. "Most species see war as a tool, a necessity. We see it as a story, still being written. Every battle, every war is a chapter in a book that began when the first human picked up a rock to defend their tribe," the veteran said. "We're still writing it." A student pointed to the news feed, still updating on the pirate incident. "Is that why everyone responded so fast, because of memories?" "Exactly," the admiral said. "That refugee ship attack wasn't just a current event. It was every refugee ship ever attacked, every innocent harmed, every time someone thought they could prey on the vulnerable." "We remember," the veteran said softly. "We always remember." "There's more," the admiral added. "We also remember every time someone protected the innocent, every time species united for a common cause, every time compassion triumphed over retribution." The veteran held up his grandfather's dog tags. "These remind me we don't fight because we love war, but because we remember what happens when good people do nothing. And that's why we train so hard, form alliances, share knowledge," the admiral said. "We remember when we weren't ready, too slow, or failed to protect those in need. The journalist glanced at her notes. So, humans are goddesses of war not just for how you fight, but how you remember. How we learn, how we carry every conflict, loss, victory, sacrifice, the veteran said. The admiral stood, adjusting her civilian clothes. That's why those pirates never stood a chance, not just because of our forces or coordination, but because every human carried the memory of every time someone tried to harm the innocent, and the mercy shown to survivors. We remember, the veteran said. We remember what happens when victory becomes revenge, when justice turns cruel. We remember because we must, lest we become what we fight against. The newsfeed showed the pirate ships escorted to the starbase, the refugee ships safe with multi-species medical care. Being goddesses of war, the veteran concluded, isn't about mastering combat. It's about mastering why we fight, when to fight and when not to. And when we do fight, the admiral added, we carry every lesson, every story, every sacrifice. It makes us better warriors, not stronger or faster, but because we understand war's true cost. And that understanding makes us both fiercer in battle and more merciful in victory, the veteran finished. The students sat in silence. The journalist realized she had material for a series, not just one article. Behind them, the humans sang a slow, sorrowful tune about poppies blooming where soldiers fell. She understood now. Humans were goddesses of war, not just for how they fought, but because they never forgot why they fought or what it cost.